Audio's working on this thing. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of headbanging to the music. I love the show's theme. And it's free, which is even better, you know. I don't have to pay royalties or whatever, anything for it. Don't have to worry about a copy strike. Alright, let's see. Okay. I know now the audio works, because otherwise I'll get the echo, echo, echo. Every time I say that, it always reminds me of an old Robin Williams joke, like way back in the day. He's like, here's a New York echo. Hello, shut the fuck up. So, as you can tell, by the way, if you've never seen the show, there's a little bit of profanity here and there. If you're not copacetic with that, that's fine, but this is not the channel for you. Okay, especially tonight. We're gonna get into it a little bit. We're gonna get a little bit ranty and ravey tonight. I am the Angry Wrench, otherwise known as Shuan, or that tall Irish asshole, whatever. Very brief bio. I am a binary trans woman. I don't give a flying fuck who knows it, and I don't give a flying fuck about our government and their policies regarding people like me. So, you know, there is that. So, in fact, we're going to get into that a little bit. It's not going to be all about trans people tonight, okay? It's going to be about everybody tonight. But we're going to get into it a little bit, okay? Because I've been wanting to do this particular topic for a while. But, I mean, you know, it's going to be about fascism and how it relates to the Trump administration. Gee, that's never been done before. And I do have to point out, I hate to use the phrase "to be fair" because it's used too often, I think, but I do have to point out that it's been used to address every president, probably, I would say, going back to at least Reagan, if not sooner or earlier. You know, people called Obama Hitler, people called Bush Hitler, people called Clinton Hitler, whatever, you know. But I'm going to show you why I think I am justified in saying that the, where's my showrunner? Okay, give me a second here. I gotta open that sucker up. I'm gonna tell you why I think I am justified in saying that the Trump administration is exactly fascism and exactly, with a very few minor details, just like Hitler's administration. Okay? First of all, I'm going to do a very brief ad in the beginning and a very brief ad in the end. Okay, so I am the Angry Wrench on Blue Sky. You can also check out there, and it'll be in the pinned post here. You can check out my support page. That's Linktree, where I do, you know, I write and sell books online, and I do merchandise and whatever. In fact, I just opened a new shop. So the Angry Wrench logo, you know, with the screaming woman, hello, and the wrench and whatever on the bottom, that's going to be available on a coffee cup and a magnet, or excuse me, buttons right now. I'm going to be adding it to magnets or whatever. I would do that for the t-shirts for Spreadshirt, but that's way too expensive. You know, in order for me to get a $2 profit from a t-shirt, I got to sell it for almost 30 bucks. You ain't going to buy that. I mean, you know, if it was a DC, if it was, well, DC Universe, DC Marvel, whatever, or Disney or whatever, sure, you might, you know, once in a while, but for an unknown, mouthy, blabbermouth content creator on YouTube like me, you're not going to pay for that, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. But the shirts that I sell on Sell My Tees, which I'm getting ready to start up that shop, none of the shirts are more than $17 total, and I still get a better profit there than I do from Spreadshirt. So I cut the price to almost in half, give myself a better product and profit, and give you a better choice. So I think that's a win-win all around. Okay, enough of the ad bullshit. So like I said, I am the Angry Wrench. I rant and rave about politics and some social issues, okay, on occasion. A lot of times they are combined. You know, my mere existence nowadays is political, as there are a lot of people, it's not just in my marginalized community. Two things I did want to point out. In the pinned post, there will be 2 links that are not specifically to the show itself, or about the show itself. One is I have a second channel, which I'm getting ready to ramp up again. Put it on hiatus for a while. It is called Shawana the Fae, and then the sub channel for it is called When Ravens Speak. And it is a bunch of my writing, short stories, all short stories and vignettes, that friends of mine have been gracious enough, all over the world, have been gracious enough to read for me and to make it in little audiobooks. So, and they're usually, I think they're 5 to 10 minutes long, not very long. Okay, excuse me. And then also, for not just for me, but obviously the person I'm about to mention, he does a lot better. There's a young man named Luke Beasley who is phenomenal when it comes to deconstructing the points that the fascists try to put forward, and also because he goes to Trump rallies, which is far better than I want to do, and interviews, Trump supporters and whatever. Okay, and he recently did a debate with Tim Pool, or as I call him, Dim Fool, on Tim Pool's channel. It was either his main channel or one of his sub channels, whatever. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that jackass. But he was debating against 5 conservatives and just laid their ass out. So that link, the link to his channel, plus the link to that specific one, and I think it's what's his name, David Pacman. Kind of goes over. He doesn't show the whole thing. I guess it's quite long, but he goes over like the high points, where he just destroys the conservatives, and that might help you give some points when you're in a discussion with someone else. Okay. So let's get into this. Enough of this bullshit. So let's start with this. Okay. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to switch to. Okay. So what I call my props channel. Okay, so let me switch this here. All right, and of course it's going to take 25 fucking seconds or whatever. I don't care. So what this is, it's where I shook my ugly ass down, and then that way I'm able to give you some, not just necessarily memes, but some pictures to back up what I'm saying. In the description of my or not description, in the pin post that I will be making, there's going to be a lot of links because I back up my shit. I don't just, if I tell you that something is my opinion, feel free to disagree with it. Strawberry cheesecake ice cream is the best ice cream in the world, and you can disagree with that. It's all right if you're wrong, but you can disagree with that. But if I state something as closer to fact, to the best of my knowledge, then I will back that up. And I'll back that up as much as I can. And sometimes on my older shows, sometimes I've had 20, 30 links, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to back my shit up. So, we're going to start with, where is it? Okay, so, we're going to start with a definition of fascism. Okay, and I'm not going to go into great detail on it, but Dr. Lawrence Britt wrote an article about fascism. And, it says recently, but this was 20 years ago, and it ain't changed any. In the Free Inquiry magazine, he studied the regimes of Hitler, Mussolini, Franco, Germany, Italy, Spain, and then Suharto, Indonesia, and Pinochet, Chile. He found that they all had 14 elements in common. He calls these the identifying characteristics of fascists. And he's not the only one who kind of sort of cobbled that together, but I think he's the one that kind of more codified it than most people. And then a lot of people have used that work, and not in plagiaristic way, but use that work to put forth their viewpoints of it and whatever, which is what I'm doing tonight. So we're going to start with the first one. La-da-dee, la-da-dee, we all live in a condom factory. Okay, which is powerful and continuing nationalism. We don't do nationalism here. What's up, Tucky? So nationalism, okay, and like I said, I gotta check and see why it's doing this, but it's a 25-second, I counted it, delay between what I say and what you see, and that just annoys the hell out of me. I hope, knock wood, fixed my internet problems. I got a new router, and my speed went from, well, the upload speed is still about the same, but my speed went from 8 to 9 megs a second upload, to 8 to 9 megs a second upload, okay, but it went from less than 90 download, which there's no way I should have been getting, to 350 meg download. So much better. So hopefully there's not going to be all the interruptions like there was, what was it, Sunday? I had to end the show because of that. Glasgow, all right. There's that wee Scottish bastard, one of my good friends, online friends. He is mouthy in his own right, both on American politics, but obviously, because he's a Scotsman, and I mean, it's okay that he's a Scotsman. Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody can be Irish. But he's a really good guy. I really think quite a bit of him. Then there's Tech, like I said, and Unique Finds. That's another one of my favorite peoples. These boots are made for walking. And Finds says, oh my God. Dude looks like he peaked in the 3rd grade. Maybe junior high. That's about it. Or maybe, like early, what would it be? Freshman, sophomore, junior high school football? Maybe. Okay. So, anyway, let's get back to this. So, the first symptom or trait. Let's use the word trait. I've been a kilt inspector before, but anyway, it's a different show. Okay, so powerful and continuing fascism. They make constant use of mottos and slogans, MAGA, symbols, red hat, songs. There's a MAGA anthem, which I have purposely avoided hearing. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to listen to it. I don't know what the words are. I don't give a fuck. Not in any way, shape, or form. Flags, as you can see, are everywhere. They're on clothing. Some people make the mistake, because they haven't read it all the way through, okay, that, it's whether or not you call it illegal, it's against the flag code to wear flag sort of paraphernalia on your clothing. No, it's not. You can even wear flags on your clothes, okay, like the American flag, okay. It's frowned on in the code, but it's not specifically prohibited in the code. But you look at these symbols, and then you look at like the swastika, and I had a conversation with a liberal today. He and I get along pretty well, okay. We disagree on a few things, and it's kind of like finer points, okay, nuances. But I mentioned something to the effect about the Nazi salute from Elon, and he said, well, I don't know if it's a Nazi salute or not. And I said, well, I don't know what else it could be. It's not a, hey, hi neighbor, oakley dokley neighbor. No, that's not it. Okay. I said, I call Elon a fascist, oligarch as well, of course, but I call Elon a fascist. He's a racist, flat out. And he agreed with that. And I said, here's the thing. You can say it's not Nazi because they don't have the swastika. But when you have, as I'm going to go through, all 14 of these points, that the Nazis have, I don't care what the fucking distinction is. Nazi in all but name. Good enough for me. Okay. So, like I said, there's the ye old flag. There's the ye old Trump. I think it says Trump something one, whatever, I'm sure it's 2020, whatever, some stupid shit. Let's see. Fine says wiggles eyebrows, and then just Google it. Lots of neo-Nazis have done it to the side. Oh yeah. Like I said, Nazi in all but name only. Fuck off. I don't give a shit. Like I said, if you don't like profanity, this is not the channel for you. We're going to go to the next one, and this is, I think, they're all important, but this is, to me, at least personally, one of the more important ones. And this asshole on the left, this asshole in the middle, sort of, the assholes behind him, was it Dennis Leary had a song called I'm an Asshole or something like that, and then some cartoon show or whatever. Oh no, it was shit, I can't think of the name. Damn old brain. It was Spaceballs. Major asshole. We're all assholes. Anyway, so pretty much, that's what they are. I swear, oh no, not me. I would never do such a thing. Never, never, never. Not in a fucking million years. But anyway. But yeah, you got this asshole in church, and it's probably the first time that he's been in church for a while. And I'm not a believer, as you all know. At least not in Christianity. And in this context, it's not a criticism of Christianity, although I have many. But I'm, half the time, if it were real, I'm surprised that if he walks into a church, he doesn't burst into flame. And I should do a show sometime on the not the idiosyncrasies. That's not the word I'm looking for. The similarities. Kind of like you got the 14 points of fascism, the similarities between Donald Trump and the Antichrist. Now, I mean, people have done that too. People did that with Ronald Reagan, if you believe that, because he got shot and he survived. And the Antichrist in the Bible gets wounded and survives. Okay, kind of like Trump with his supposed ear shot and whatever. Anyway, so he is in a church, and it is Bishop. Oh, where are you? I believe her last name is Budd. Yes, Marianne Edgar Budd did a sermon in front of him and his family, whatever. Okay, advocating, that people should have compassion for immigrants, for queer kids. She specifically said, spelled out LGBTQ plus, whatever. Okay, he lied about what she said. He lied about what she did, and he demanded an apology. Fuck you. And she didn't say in that manner, but she said, no, I'm not apologizing. Basically, kiss my ass, Donald Trump. All right. But what happens here is they try to control the populace. So what's one of the best ways for thousands of years to control the populace is to instill fear in them for whatever reason, whatever you want them to be afraid of, and then you or your party, your group, are the ones that can protect them from whatever it is, whether it's protect them from Mexicans, or it's protect them from the border, or it's protect them from the queer people, or whatever it is. Okay, whatever racist horse shit that they come up with. Okay, and when that happens, people won't give up shit. There's an old saying, I don't remember the exact words, but that I believe it was Benjamin Franklin, and that I'm in the practice of worshiping dead white men, but something along the lines of maybe Thomas Jefferson. Those who give up liberty for safety deserve neither. Something along those lines, anyway. Okay. They look the other way if there's torture. I remember the show 24 when it was hot for a while, and I've never seen it, but there was a scene on there where he tortured somebody. I don't remember if that came into being like in the show, whether or not it was effective. I know for a long time, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, we can waterboard anybody, especially in Guantanamo. And to give him credit, Christopher Hitchens, who I didn't like, was for it. Oh no, that can't be torture. So he underwent it, and he said, nope, that's torture. That's just torture. Sean Hannity claimed that he was going to do it, but just like the fucking coward that he is, he never did it. Okay. The common people, like me, okay, common people, I'm common mud, are persuaded that human rights can either be given up, some of their human rights, or ignored for safety reasons, okay? And here's the thing, people like me, my ass is white, okay, and like white, like people write on me when they can't find paper white, okay, Betty Cracker white. People like me have a tiny sliver of privilege over people who are not white. Now, granted, I'm a trans woman, so that's probably way imbalanced, but I still have that. There are trans. Look at the statistics of trans women in general, and our murders, and our abuses, and our being locked up for no reason, arrested for walking while trans. And then look at the statistics, especially murders for black trans women. Far worse. Okay, it's bad enough for me, people like me, okay, but it's far worse for them. So they, people like me, insofar as being white, don't want to give up that privilege. They know the government is fucking them over. No, I didn't know that. No, you knew, okay, flat out. You get the MAGA, which I'm going to get to at the very end. But you knew that the government was going to fuck you over. What you thought was you weren't going to get fucked over as bad as the rest of us in the marginalized groups. There's a guy on Twitter, don't remember his name, don't really care, was a Trump supporter, and he did this tweet about, it was either on Twitter or Truth Social, whatever, but he did this tweet where he said, here's all you guys, and you guys meaning the administration, you're coming after my SNAP benefits, my SNAP EBT benefits, and you're coming after my Social Security, my SSI. you know, and you know, you and all your cronies are doing all this, you know, and I can't believe you did this. I voted for you. I prayed for you. And yes, I want to, you know, quote the whole leopard's line, and y'all know what that is, okay? But you know, there's karma. There's what goes around comes around. You know, whatever. I don't believe in karma, but what goes around comes around. That type of thing, okay? You knew he was gonna fuck people over. You just thought he wasn't gonna fuck you over. And the reason, not the only reason, but a large reason for a lot of people, for a large amount of people that voted for Trump, isn't because of his economic policies, isn't because of, you know, his border. It's to some extent his border stuff, okay, but it's because he hates the same people they hate, flat fucking out. You know, when people say, oh, not everybody who votes for Trump is a racist, but all racists vote for Trump. I don't think so. I think the vast majority of people who vote for Trump are racist. I can't think of a reason to vote for Trump that doesn't have to do with racism, whether it's stemmed from ethnicity or economic factors or, you know, whatever, crime, whatever. Okay. Like I said, you know, he lied about it, and then the asshole fascist Mike Collins, Republican of Georgia, okay, wrote on Shitter that she should be put on a list of people to be deported. She's a white American citizen, was born in this country, white American citizen, not an anchor baby, and he said she should be put on a list to be deported. It's what fucking fascists do to their enemies if they're not throwing them into camps. Okay, we're going to get into that too. Okay, so let's go to the next picture, because I mean, I could any one of these I could rant for a long time on, but we're not going to do that, because you know, y'all are taking time out of your night to do whatever. Okay, and I appreciate that. So, I hate my computer. I hate my computer. I hate my computer. Believe me, if you followed my show at all for any length of time, you've heard me say that once or twice before. Okay. Identification of enemies or scapegoats as a unifying cause. Okay. People are led into the need to eliminate perceived common threats: racial, ethical, religious minorities, liberals, communists, socialists, other groups, queer groups, you know, trans people. We're going to get into in a second. Trump, during a campaign speech, literally called Kamala Harris this sentence in this order of words: communist, fascist, democratic, socialist. None of those words have anything to do with each other. One might slightly is socialist and communist, okay, but none of them have, especially fascist and communist. What the fuck are you talking about? No, but they're buzzwords. His followers don't know what those words mean, and so when he uses these words, he's like, "Oh, these words are bad. You know, whoever I say this about, they're a bad person." So they go, "Oh, well, you know, he said that. You know, a communist is bad, or a socialist is bad, or a Democrat is bad, so therefore they're bad, just because dear leader said so." And as for a group between the GOP and Trump and individual donors this last campaign, guess how much they spent on anti-trans ads? I thought it was $25 million. I did. I thought it was $25 million. Glasscoff says, all my respect in the world that Bishop showed more spine than world politicians against Trump. Yeah, and the media, which we're also going to get into. Okay. May Pine says, I thought you were a good, innocent girl. When I get paid for it, yeah. I'm also a part-time, but mostly retired sex worker, too. I don't give a fuck. If you don't like it, like my mom used to say, suck my left tit, the right one's for friends. Anyway, so like I said, I thought it was $25 million, which is more than what they had spent at that point, and maybe that was at that point, on ads, you know, for the border and whatever else, okay? Nope. $220 million, more than all of their other ads combined on anti-trans ads. Because, you know, this particular season, apparently, we're the favorite, we're the other. You know, and don't get me wrong, there's been oppression against queer people in this country for a long time, but you know, that doesn't obviate the marginalization of black people. It doesn't obviate the marginalization of other ethnic groups. It doesn't obviate the marginalization of women, which we're also going to get into. Okay. But we are the current favorite to point out as if they get rid of these people, in this case trans people, okay, and it's always trans women, because we're the only ones in their porn stash. There are usually no trans men in their porn stash. But if they get rid of these people, the trans people, then everything will be fine in the country. It'll be hunky dory. Sounds kind of familiar, like maybe 1939 Germany. And I remember comparing it one time with a person who is Jewish. And everything was fine, cool, dandy. We were having this conversation about, how bad Trump was. This was in the previous administration. How bad Trump was and whatever else. Until I mentioned that it was kind of sort of our Holocaust. And she lost her shit and said, how dare you compare it to the Shoah, which is a word for the Holocaust, et cetera, and queer people. I said, where the fuck do you think the pink triangle comes from? The Holocaust. And for those prisoners who survived, wearing the pink triangle and survived, when the American army came in and liberated everybody, everybody's free and we get to feed them, everybody's free. No. Anybody who wore a pink triangle stayed in jail. Because it was heavily illegal at that time to be gay, queer in any way, shape, or form. So I don't want to hear any shit about that either. But anyway, so scapegoating, like it says here, it's got a good example, is the act of unfairly blaming an individual or group for problems or misfortunes. That's what I said. During a recession, a rising moral panic about immigrants helps people to find someone to blame. And that's exactly what it is. They don't want to take into account that their dear leaders use scapegoats. And so, they're, it's not us, it's not our dear leaders, it must be these people, it must be this group. No. So, there we go. Okay. So, let me scroll up here a little bit. Okay, supremacy of the military. When there are a lot of domestic problems, even so, the military is given a lot more government money. Okay. The domestic agenda is abandoned. Usually, to some extent. I mean, look what we're doing right now, which, again, I'll get into a little later, with the Department of Education, with HUD, with, they want to cut SNAP benefits. If the GOP had their way completely, they would completely wipe out all SNAP benefits whatsoever for everybody. They would wipe out all SSI, disability, Social Security for everybody across the country, period. And you motherfuckers that voted for this, don't have any sympathy for you. So, they love, however, to, prattle about how they support the troops, okay, unless you're queer, or unless you're black, or unless you're non-white, or, unless you're female, Pete Hegseth, the candidate for Secretary of Defense, who's never been in the fucking military, okay, we're going to get into that, the nomination process a little bit too, said flat out, women shouldn't be in combat. Because, apparently you need muscles to lift a tank or something. What the fuck are you talking about? And I was in the military. I've met a lot of badass women, okay? Your little punk ass wouldn't last 2 seconds in the ring with them. No matter how much you drank. Anyway. Like I said, they love the military. But they shit on them at the same time, unless they want to use them to, block off the border or attack American citizens. They, like I said, they're idolized, support the troops. But they don't support the troops at all. They also criticize the troops, like when Trump said that his elite prep military academy, prep school. Oh, we're going to put on uniforms and march around and do some exercises. We're in the military. Was just like being in the military. No, the fuck it isn't. Okay? And if you had been in the military, you would fucking know that. Little punk ass bitch. Anyway. So, and also, hold on a second. I'm losing my, besides I'm losing my mind, I'm losing my pictures here. Okay, and then he also said this. When I first heard this, I thought, no, this can't be true. It's got to be something Andy Borowitz did from the Onion or whatever, okay, or something like that, the New Yorker or whatever. That avoiding STDs for him, avoiding STDs in the 70s and 80s was like his own personal Vietnam. I'm not a jingoistic, rah rah sis boom bah pro-military person. I am pro-military in the lower ranks, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not a jingoistic military person. I don't pass around the emails, every winter with, Santa Claus, bending down, bending his knee, to support the soldier, whatever, all that bullshit. I don't do all that shit, okay? But there's a lot of people in the military who went in for different reasons. Didn't have a choice economically, like in my case. Also wanted to do, at the time, I was still in the cult, so I believed in the ideals of this country, or at least the striving for the ideals in this country, okay? That sure the fuck went by the wayside. But I do support the military to that extent, okay? And this chintzy ass motherfucker, Cadet Bone Spurs, I don't remember who came up with that. Might have been Keith Olburn. I don't know. He wouldn't last 5 seconds, okay? But like I said, also they love the idea of the military, and they would love to use the military as their own police force. Let me get ready to switch pictures here. Whoops. Just like they did in Kent State, in Ohio. If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to go into it because it'll take you. I would really go off on that one. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Some people in the chat might be old enough to remember that, or maybe Google the reference, whatever. That's fine. I don't care. But look it up. Okay, look it up. And don't think that it can't happen here. Now we're going to get into the next one: rampant sexism. Holy fuck, where to start? Okay, so this was during the first Trump regime. Okay, I don't use the word administration, it's regime. Okay, you notice that in that room, okay, it's a whole bunch of white men. Okay, older white men. Oh, they must be doing, business meeting or whatever, something like that, or a conference on, fiscal conservatives, or fiscal matters or whatever. Nope. This is a discussion on healthcare in America for women. Do you see a woman in that room? No, you don't. Not a bit. Not one. Not a femme. Not a trans woman. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? But yet, they believe, honestly, they do believe that they have the right to tell women how to live their lives. That's where the whole, overthrowing of Roe v. Wade come from. And initially during the campaign, when it started getting brought up, Donald Trump was proud of it. He was bragging, I got Roe v. Wade passed. And then when it started hurting him in the polls, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't me. Yeah, okay. Under fascist regimes, traditional gender roles are made more rigid. Opposition to abortion is high, so is homophobia, transphobia, anti-gay legislation, national policy. Hello. That's a lot of this, probably most of this, is not something that's going to be new to you. I'm just pointing out I'm trying to point out specific examples, and then we're going to go a little bit in the background, or not in the background, into how to resist that in the end. Okay, I like to do that. I'm probably going to do that for every show throughout the entire next 4 fucking years, or until I'm in a camp, or until I die, or he dies, or whatever. And it is going to be just him. Okay, so whoops, let me skip to the next one. Okay, this one is kind of near and dear to my heart, in part because I am a writer. Like I mentioned earlier, I have an audiobook channel. I am a writer, and this is about the mass media, which you'll see here in a second. I hate this delay; it's driving me up a wall, but you'll see it. Okay, I am a author. I also write fictional stories. I write books. I write songs, vignettes, whatever. Okay, this was done by. Let me find her name here because I want to give her attribution. This was done by Anna. Hold on a second here. I know I've got her name here. Bum-ba-dee-da, bum-ba-dee-da, bum-ba-dee-da. Okay, so I don't have it on that one. Where the fuck is it? I think her last name is Telnays, something like that. Which kind of cool, okay, because you know we can get into billionaires because I'm not fond about them either, but I do follow to be able to keep an eye on, basically, and to read what he says. Mark Cuban on yeah, is that MAGA youth having a meeting? Yeah, exactly. Mark Cuban on Blue Sky, okay, and there's times that he says something that I flat out disagree with, okay. There's times that he says something that I agree with, and there's times that he says, and whether he's pandering, whether he's, you know, whatever, I don't, probably to a large extent, okay. My only positive with Mark Cuban, and I hate to say this, you know, because it sounds like getting crumbs off the table or crumbs off the floor when somebody's eating at the table, which is pretty much what it is, okay. But at least he's doing something with some of his money, even though it's a tiny, tiny fraction, okay. But he's doing something. He started that, what do you call it, the cost plus drugs thing quite a few years ago. And in fact, I used it myself and saved a good amount of money with it. And now he's, I think it's Premier Pharmacy, starts with a P anyway. And I think he's doing it in like 8 or 10 cities in America, and you know, as like a test project or whatever, where, you know, instead of like, you know, maybe it'll go to other pharmacies, I don't know. But, you know, like I use the Walmart pharmacy here in town. Okay, so maybe, you know, like if he started one here in town, or it might, you know, they might start selling the cost plus drugs in the Walmart pharmacy. Now, they don't cover every single drug. Okay, there's some drugs that they can't drop that price down for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay, but they do drop a lot of. I would say probably 60% or more of the most common drugs in America that are prescribed are in the cost plus drugs program, and are a lot cheaper than GoodRx. Let me tell you. Okay. One of my medications, I'm an old fart, one of my medications is $178 a month with no insurance, okay, which I sure the hell can't afford that. With my Medicaid, current Medicaid in Michigan, you know, go blue, mostly blue, I have zero copay. It's free. With GoodRx, I think it knocked it down to $68 a month. With cost plus drugs, it was $28 a month. You know, so that's a hell of a reduction, but it's there. Anyway, I don't want to go too long on Mark, but so you got it's like they say here. Sometimes media is directly controlled by the government. Other times media sucks ass at the government. Okay, I mean, you know. How have I said that before? At least when I suck a dick, I get something out of it. I don't know what the hell they're getting out of it. But you got the Washington Post, the New York Post, the New York Times, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, BBC even, okay? All these people are sucking ass of the government. This is why Zuckerberg and Bezos and who's the other one I'm thinking of? Zuckerberg, Bezos, and somebody else. Bezos from the Washington Post, Zuckerberg from Facebook. No, Bezos is from, maybe he's from the Washington Post or the Amazon too. But anyway, so you know you got obviously the implication of the bald-headed guy with the eyebrows is Bezos. Okay, who by the way killed this cartoon. Okay, nope, can't do this cartoon. Also killed the, I believe it was the Washington Post, for the first time in years, decades. No, you can't endorse a candidate. Can't endorse a candidate. Why would you do that? And like I said, the propaganda arm of the GOP, Fox, you know, even the BBC gets on the fear mongering. Now they don't. They will occasionally do a little bit more of a. I don't want to say anti-Trump, but of a not so pro-Trump stance. But a lot of times it's just blatantly ass-kissing. That's all it is. And I'm so tired of that shit, you know. And like I said, I'm a writer. I have 3.5 years of a 4-year bachelor's in English, which is why I worked at Walmart. I love that line. But one of my classes was Introduction to Journalism, and I remember one day that the instructor was telling us, and I kind of looked at her with horror because she responded. she was telling us that this was during the time when Sarah Palin was running with John McCain, and they had that whole quote about, you know, you can put lipstick on a pig, blah blah blah, whatever. Shut the fuck up, Sarah. But anyway, the idea was that she was putting forth was it was okay to change the words of what she said. This is a journalism professor, and I didn't say anything, but look at my face. Is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay. She's like, well, you know, because it's folksy, whatever. And I said, here's my point. If you say Sarah Palin talked about, you know, bad taxes and that it was like change, you know, putting lipstick on a pig, whatever, that's fine. That's one thing. But if you quote it, you need to use the exact fucking words. I didn't say fucking in class, but, you know, she could tell I wanted to. Now you have the next point in fascism, the obsession with national security. Gee, that doesn't happen here. Hasn't happened here, even during the Biden administration, but hasn't happened here. So the border. You also remember, excuse me, coffee break. You also remember that the Democrats sucked up to the GOP to get a border bill passed. Why? Because they didn't want to appear soft on crime. They didn't want to appear soft on the border. Okay, we're going to get into the pendulum here in just a second. But so they had everything else set up. You know, it passed the House, it passed the Senate, everything was cool. Or was about to pass. It was either the House or the Senate, I forget which, but it was about to pass. Okay, I think it was the House. They were reconciling the bill, getting back and forth, and was the most conservative border structure bill ever that has been in American politics, and Americans. And the Democrats signed right up for that bitch until Donald Trump said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because this is during his campaign against Biden, and he wanted to use it as a campaign tactic. So fuck the country. I'm going to use it as a campaign tactic. You know, campaign tactic to generate fear in the populace. But here's the thing, though. So, we can't have people coming in over the border. We can't have all those immigrants. We can't have all those quote unquote illegals. But what about the H-1B visas? Elon was very much pro H-1B visas, and I'll get why in a second. But that completely pissed a lot of the MAGA base off, you know, because they're like, you know, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but they're like, you know, you said you were against them immigrants. Okay, and to them it doesn't matter, especially because what Elon Musk is for isn't for, you know, like an immigrant coming over here to be a dishwasher in New York. It's the immigrants coming over here from other countries to work in Silicon Valley. Why? Because A, they'll work for cheaper amount, okay, and B, due to the structure of that visa, if for whatever reason their boss decides, you know what, you're an asshole, I don't like you, we've been paying you too much, whatever, you're done, they go back home. So they have to kiss their employers' asses in order to stay in this country. That's why Elon wants it, because it's cheaper, it saves the companies more money, and they have that power over the heads of the people coming over to work. Okay, he's even said that, paraphrasing, that, because I don't remember the exact words, that Americans are too stupid to do those jobs. And yet they want to destroy, and I don't mean just like, you know, damage, they want to destroy the, there it is, the Department of Education. Because that'll make Americans smarter, right? Yeah, okay. Next point in fascism is religion and government intertwined. Okay. You remember the little hullabaloo? It got a little bit of media attention, not much. Back a few years ago, this was during, I believe, it wasn't during the campaign, so I'm pretty sure it was during the first year of the Trump administration when people were criticizing him for not going to church. Okay. And so he had that little photo op where he was standing outside a church across from the White House, and they evacuated everybody out of that church so that he could do the photo op. And he held that Bible up. Okay, so I'm going to use my phone as an example. But he held that Bible up, except he held it upside down. The nice thing, the only nice thing about this is that these people are such dumbasses, because if they were smart, we'd have been way into fascism, far worse already. Okay. The only thing that's kind of saving this country is, one, the people that push back, but also the fact that these people are so incompetent at what they do. Okay. Other than, engender fear in people and, try to make money. During that time frame, he was asked about, religion. And he was asked, what's his favorite book of the Bible? Like most Americans, no, I take that back. I think that's an unfair blanket statement. Like a lot of Americans, okay? They don't know the books of the Bible. Now, to be fair to them, okay, for the first 30-odd years of my life, I was a fundamentalist, Pentecostal, evangelical Christian. We literally had Bible study 5 days a week. And I went to Bible camp every year. So I obviously know a little bit more than your average person and your average Christian even. Okay, I know probably more than if they're not lay people in the church itself, deacons and whatever. Okay, and ministers and stuff. I know probably about the Bible probably more than 80 to 90% of Christians I've ever met. And that's not a criticism necessarily in this context. I'm just saying that's an observable fact. Okay. If you have spent any time in a church, any time at all, any time, more than one time, like where he's sitting there falling asleep, like he did in court and whatever. Okay, more than one time at all, you spent a minimum amount of time in church. Okay, and the book Corinthians is mentioned. Okay, there's a first book in there and a second book in there. Okay, the book Corinthians is mentioned. All right. So somebody asked him, what's your favorite book of the Bible? And he said 2 Corinthians. And a lot of the Christians excused it, kind of poo-pooed it. Oh, that's funny. He made a joke. No, the motherfucker didn't make a joke. He didn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because it says literally the text, okay, is 2 Corinthians, but it's not called 2 Corinthians. In almost any church I've ever been in, any church I've ever heard, it's 2 Corinthians. That's just a part of the culture, because he didn't fucking know what he was talking about. And I'm going to give you a minor lesson here. I will, again, link the verses, so I'm not going to quote them, okay, but I'll link the verses in the pinned post. This right here, they talk about, in the Old Testament, they talk about the golden calf, okay. When Moses went up on the mount and was talking to God, and he was there long enough that the Israelites were like, well, our God's abandoned us, let's make a new one. So they took all the gold jewelry, and whatever in the camp, and melted it all down and made a golden statue. Okay, and that's in part of the movie as well. And that they worship the gold statue. Okay, and it's not the fact that it's a golden calf specifically. It's the fact that they worshipped an object versus God, according to the Bible and according to the Tanakh. Okay. That's what this is. Very clear, okay? Anything that Trump likes or whatever has to be, I've seen pictures, obviously I haven't been there, but I've seen pictures of like his penthouses and his house, and when he came down the golden escalator, yeah, okay. So, excuse me, I will put the link in the description, or in the pinned post of the specific verses if you want to use those, and use this picture. I'll put a link to that as well. Excuse me, coffee burp, sorry. And use this picture of how to point out to people that what they are doing is they are worshiping the golden calf. What's up, Beastie Beast? But they, that they are worshiping the golden calf. They're not according to Christianity, they're not worshiping their God, the way they should be. So let's go on, because like I said, I don't want to, we're about 3/4 of the way done, which is fine. I don't want to, take forever. Like I said, it's nice that you people have, dipped time out of your night to spend it here, and I dearly appreciate that. So, the next one, all right, where did you go, you wee bastard? All right. Same thing, but for a different purpose. So, if you've been watching the show along, you've seen this image before, but it's for a different purpose this time. So, corporate power. There, I found the other name. Okay, so corporate power. There's what I call the three musketeers of oligarchy. Okay, which is Bezos, Zuckerberg, and Musk. To my recollection, Musk is the richest man, but it goes back and forth. This month he's the richest, next month he's the second richest, whatever. Okay. Again, I believe this was Anna Telnaes. I'm probably butchering that name, but I'm trying. Okay, Anna Telnaes. She's a Washington Post columnist or cartoonist. She was. She did this cartoon. Bezos blocked it. Now you can't do that. So she said, "Fuck you, I quit." And so I literally was in on the conversation. I wasn't the only one. There was a bunch of other people too, but I was literally on the conversation where Mark Cuban, again, like I was talking about before, had found out about this, okay, and posted on his timeline or his feed on Blue Sky. Anybody who can get a hold of her and have her get a hold of me. I may have a job for her. Now, I don't know if he did hire her, but to my knowledge, the best of my knowledge, he did. I don't know any exact details or whatever. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what the deal is. He might have been just a publicity statement. I don't know. But that would be something that would be interesting to check out. But the industrialists, the aristocracy, they're the ones who put they're the kingmakers. They're the ones who put the people into power. Especially like he's in the news, but especially Musk with Trump. Okay, which I think it is absolutely fucking hilarious that when people call him President Musk and Vice President Trump, pisses Donald the fuck off. Even to the point where at one point he said, I don't remember if it was during a speech or some interview or whatever, might have even been on Truth Social, that Trump can't, or that Musk can't be the president because he wasn't born here. If you have to say that Musk isn't the president, Musk is the president. Okay. If you have to say I'm not tall, I'm not tall. Yeah, I am. Okay. If you have to, what is the line? Methinks thou dost protest too loudly. Something along those lines. Anyway, I believe it's from Shakespeare. I could be wrong. Could be the Bible. But it's obviously clear that that's getting under his skin. Now, I think it's tapered off a little bit. I love it. Anytime anything gets under his skin like that, I absolutely adore it. And I would continue it if I could. Just to get under his skin. So, here's another thing. Okay, this is an institution that's been around in America for over a century or more. Okay, it has been weakened considerably, and you'll see when the picture pops up. Okay, it has been weakened considerably, which pisses me off. It's been fought against for, like I said, over a century, maybe 2 centuries. Okay, unions. And a lot of people nowadays, common laborers like myself, okay, when I was working, are anti-union, or at the very least, almost like neutral to unions, I guess, in a way, because they bought into the corporate propaganda. Oh, unions don't do any good for us, and unions don't do this, and unions don't do that. Walmart can't legally state that they're anti-union and whatever. Okay, but they do have a video that they show every single person who comes in for orientation about how Walmart likes this or likes that. The working conditions at Walmart are good, and I don't remember the exact way they used it. They did refer to unions, but it wasn't a case of you can't be pro-union if you don't work at Walmart. But it was pretty much clearly that the implication was there. Okay. There's a long list of things, which again I have a link, which will be in the post. There's a long list of things that unions gave us. Okay, corporations didn't do this out of the greatness of their hearts. They didn't go, for example, the 40-hour work week. Okay, they didn't go, you guys are busting your ass so much, we're going to give you, overtime if you work over 40 hours. No. Weekends off. People work 7 days a week. A lot of jobs. Weekends off. Holiday pay. Sick pay, workman's comp, unemployment benefits. All of that is from unions. Nothing of that came from corporations unless they were forced to do it. And in some cases, unions hired their own police, guards, and killed, or unions, excuse me, corporations, and killed union strikers. Not just like beat them up or killed them, flat out killed them. So a lot of people put their lives on the line, and some lost their lives to put unions into this country. I'm very much pro-union. Okay, there have been some problems with the unions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there haven't been. There's been problems with every institution in America. There isn't one that it hasn't. Not one. But overall, it's far better. America is far better. Much as you can say that anyway. Especially for people like me, the common mud. The next one is going to be oh boy, here we go. So yes, there. So the establishment and even some Democrats, it's not just the GOP, even some Democrats are against these two things. They almost never say it, the Democrats don't, but they are. Okay, a few. Not all of them, but a few. These are two institutions that are very much interwoven in American culture, at least the modern American culture, the past 50, 100 years, whatever it is, okay, close to that. Close to 100 years anyway. And they are, in fact, I don't remember exactly when they started. I know they started, like from the time, I want to say early 60s or maybe even earlier, because I've been listening to them off and on all my life. What the GOP are against is education, like I talked about earlier. College, and education. They don't want smart American voters at all. They want people just smart enough, as Carlin said. I don't always agree with everything Carlin said, but as Carlin said, they want workers that are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, but not smart enough to know that they're getting fucked by the American government. Or, like I said earlier, that they're not smart enough to realize that they're a little bit of hold on a second here. There. I was going to try to show two pictures at the same time. Their little bit of privilege doesn't last, okay, and it can be taken away. Like Carlin said, you have rights, we have rights, they have rights. No, you don't. You have temporary privileges. And if you follow politics at all, a little smaller and a little smaller, okay. If you have rights and the government can take them away, they're not rights, okay. Especially not God-given rights, but they're not rights, okay. They are, like he said, they are temporary privileges. And they can be taken away at any time. And again, to paraphrase Carlin, not to quote him because I don't remember the exact words, but to paraphrase him, if you think you have rights, okay, go to Wikipedia, look up, hold on a second. So I don't know if I'm still on or whatever. It did that whole glitching thing again. So we'll give that a minute. Let me check something here. Privileges, and they can be taken away at any time. And again, let me know, or I'll check and see. I'll check and see in a minute or so. I'll run my mouth. Okay, but go to Wikipedia, put in Japanese Americans 1942, and you'll learn all about your fucking rights. Okay, because over 100,000 Japanese Americans. Hold on. So we'll give that a minute. Yep, okay, it worked. So over 100,000 Japanese Americans were put into concentration camps. They called them internment camps. They're fucking concentration camps, okay? No right to attorney, no right to due process, no right to anything. There they go. Just because their parents were born in the wrong country. That's all. Gee, sounds familiar, doesn't it? So, yeah, you don't have rights. You only have what the government allows you to have, okay? Let me find my I need a better system here. So where is it? Where did I go? Okay, so we did the unions. Okay, we did the guards. Okay, so under fascist regimes, the police are given almost limitless power. Okay, the people will overlook abuse, okay? Especially if it's for those people, okay? Look how many people who will say, you know, when you talk about, for example, police brutality with black people. Well, you know, if they had just obeyed, if they had just followed commands, they did that. In a lot of cases, they did that. You know what? And it doesn't fucking matter. Because if you have a black person who gets pulled over for whatever reason, I don't give a shit what it is, you know, driving, okay, get pulled over for whatever reason, I don't give a fuck. And if they take off running, I don't care. The cop shouldn't be able to shoot that fucking person. Period. Chase him down, put handcuffs on him, sure, not a problem, whatever, okay. I'm still a little iffy on that, but you know, at least, you know, that's non-lethal, okay. There's a case of a guy who was at a altercation fight, wasn't involved in it. Told, you know, them, you know, told some people around, you know, that he was going to leave. Went to his van, opened up his van with his kids in the van. I think it was 2 or 3 kids in the van, and the cop shot him in the back, paralyzed him from the waist down. He was getting ready to leave. He said he was getting ready to leave. Or the cops who, I swear to God, they're like fucking Keystone cops. The cops who, they arrested the guy, okay, put handcuffs on him, put him in the back of the cop car, shut the door, okay. Apparently they're talking some distance away from the cop car, okay, because it wasn't right up next to it, okay. And an acorn dropped and hit the roof of the cop car. And this dumbass motherfucker thought it was a pistol shot or something, okay. And so turned around and started shooting at the door where the guy was behind the door, and then the other cop started shooting at the door because he was shooting at the door. Fortunately, the guy wasn't hit. I don't remember the disposition of those 2 particular cops. They should have been fired immediately, or at least, you know, put on leave, whatever, you know, and then been fired, because they could have killed the guy. And in a lot of cases, I think what they do is like I'm gonna butcher his name, but quite a few years ago in New York, it was Abu Diamalo, something along those lines. Anyway, okay, and he was in a hallway, and it was more than one cop. I don't remember how many there were. Okay, but he was reaching in his back pocket for his wallet, and they shot him 41 times. It's either 41 or 42. Okay, and I'm sure not every fucking bullet hit because these are not sharpshooters. Okay, but he was shot. He was shot 42 times, regardless of however many other bullets whizzed around him. Okay, had no weapon on him, just his wallet. What was his name? Orlando. I want to say his name was Orlando. The guy in Minnesota, I believe it was, who was in his car with his kid. Cop pulls him over for whatever reason. He tells the cop, I have a gun in the glove compartment. I have a permit for it. Cop asks him to see the permit. He goes to reach into his wallet, and the cop shoots him dead, right in front of his kid. So, you know, and the whole, what is the phrase they use? Limited immunity. Fuck that. Cops shouldn't have any immunity. Now, if there's, you know, if it's a frivolous lawsuit, it should be thrown out. I agree. But they shouldn't have fucking immunity for any goddamn reason. None. Period. You know, if they're going to be the ones who are enforcing the law, then they should be the fucking ones to follow it just as well. Okay? The link in the description, in the post, okay, again, this is the one where it goes to my other channel, my audiobook channel, okay? And there are other, you know, there are other things on there that aren't directly related to the show tonight. There's a couple horror pieces and, you know, a humorous one and whatever, okay? But this particular one, if you go to that link, is called Let It Rain. And it was read by a friend of mine named Wayne. All of them were read by friends of mine, okay? I wrote them. They graciously agreed to read them for me. I did a little bit of editing, whatever, you know, and put them up on the channel. So they're basically short little audiobooks. I think like 5-10 minutes. There's a couple that are a little longer, but not very many, okay? And it's called Let It Ring, and it describes my vision of what this administration could be like. And I wrote this during the first Trump administration, the first year of the first Trump administration, thinking that after, you know, he left office, that there's no way this country could be ignorant enough and fucked up enough to get him in office again. Well, I was wrong. But anyway, so that link will be in the pinned post, okay? So that if you want, you can check that out at your leisure. Doesn't have to be right after the show or whatever, okay? The next point about fascism is, of course, corruption and cronyism. So when Trump was in office, you know, he had Hussein and Udain, I think were Saddam Hussein's sons, but, you know, Beavis and Butthead, or Don Jr. and Eric. You know, and they call Eric the dumb one, but Don Jr. is no genius either. Doing all sorts of things, you know, that they had basically a unofficial official position. Same for his fucking daughter. She went over to Germany. It was, I believe it was a G20 summit. I can't remember. Acted like she was an official representative. She didn't claim that specifically, but acted like she was an official representative of America, and they laughed her off. You're a fucking handbag designer, okay? And I'm not saying that she's bad because she's a handbag designer. I'm saying that she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, okay? And just because she's been in the quote-unquote halls of power as far as rich, doesn't mean that that's going to immediately transfer into politics. No, okay. Although she did make a lot of money off of her what's the word I want? Trademark stuff in China, you know, because, you know, China's bad, right? But as long as we can, you know, unless we can make money off of it. And then you have Jared Kushner, who he and his corporation, whatever, together made $2 billion from the Saudis. Let me repeat that. $2 billion. B-I-L-L-I-O-N. Not million, not 100,000, $2 billion. Okay. Because his position in the White House was what? Son-in-law? Yeah. Okay. And yet they complained and complained and complained about Hunter's laptop. Oh my God, Hunter's laptop and the you know, the supposed corruption, you know, with overseas officials and whatever. Okay, which is all bullshit. Okay, Comer even implied that it was all bullshit. Okay, we don't have any proof. Over a fucking year with this bullshit. No proof whatsoever. Every single time they offered somebody up, like, oh my God, look, you know, this person's going to prove that Biden's, you know, corrupt and whatever. Nope, didn't pan out. Some of them went to jail over it because they spewed bullshit to the FBI. Didn't pan out. Okay. And so, you know, the hypocrisy of the Republicans, I would say it stuns me anymore, but it doesn't. I'm just so tired of it. You know, just over and over and over and over and over. You know, the only I've said this before. The only time Donald Trump is lying when his mouth is open. The only time the GOP is hypocritical is when they're alive. And hold on, let me grab this here. Okay, where am I at here? There I am. Okay, and then last but not least point on this. Like I said, you know, it's sort of a paraphrase of what Chris Rock said about white people. Okay. Talking about the difference between what happens to a white person, what happens to a black person with cops and whatever. Okay. And his phrase was, if it's white, then it's all right. And the GOP obviously is that as well, okay. But also, you know, as long as we do it, it's okay. You know, if somebody else does it, you know, they're corrupt or they're this or that or whatever. Okay. And the last point, yay, the last point, is fraudulent elections. Okay. Let me get this. Do I have the right? No, I do not. Okay. Aha. There we go. So, this is Crystal. I don't know if you remember the story. Crystal was arrested and convicted of voting when she shouldn't have been able to vote. I believe it was like she had a felony, but you know, she served time, but she got out and she wasn't technically able to vote until the probation was over or whatever it was. Okay. So guess what she got? 5 years in prison for screwing up, you know, and voting. She kind of, you know, be an American and, you know, do the process, you know, and engage in the process. But, you know, you can see what color she is, right? And you also know that, or at least you should know, that of the very, 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 very limited, and a couple other varies, actual election fraud that has happened in the United States, 95% of it has been Republicans. Some of them have gone to jail over it, but 95% of it has been Republicans. A couple of times it's been the Secretary of States for the individual state who are Republican. But, it's okay, because if it's white, it's all right. And then the other one I want to show is, there we go, a similar situation, okay, as you'll see when it pops up. And this has been going on for a long, long time, okay, with voter suppression, with trying to reduce voter turnout, with voter ID laws, with, and they try to put it forth, the GOP tries to put it forth as, oh, we're just asking to prove that everybody's an American citizen, whatever. And then they passed this bill recently, I don't remember the exact name of it, that basically said it's illegal for, a person who's not a citizen to vote. It's already fucking illegal. Okay? But, we gotta sue the peepees of the racist in our base. Okay? As you can see, it's been going on for a long time. Then this motherfucker waving the Confederate flag. Oh, that's not racist. Okay. I will post a link in the post as well. There is a cartoon guy who does cartoons. Okay. Animated cartoons, and I can't remember the. It's like a really weird name, like Ubus or something like that. But it is one guy talking in a southern accent about how it was the war between the states, and it was about states' rights. And then the other person is like, states' rights to do what? Ask him that. Somebody says, oh, it's states' rights. States' rights to do what? The answer is keep slaves. But they can't say that. Oh, to keep sovereignty. Okay, to keep sovereignty to be able to do what? Push them on it, if you can, if you're safe to do it. Obviously, if it's not safe, I understand that. But when you can, if you have the spoons and you're safe, push them on it. States' rights to do what? Because they're way too cowardly to say, oh, well, it's about keeping people slaves. Yeah, okay. Now, I was going to say to be fair. It's not really to be fair, but to be honest, there are some people who will openly say that. Okay. Fortunately, they are at least in smaller open minority. Hold on a second. Trying to do too many pictures at once. There we go. So this last part, because we're pretty much done with the show almost, 5 minutes or so left. Okay, this last part is about people who voted for Trump. I mentioned that briefly earlier. Okay, this is about people who voted for Trump. Okay, like I said, the guy that was on Twitter or Truth Social or whatever it was, where he talked about, how the Trump administration, the cronies, I think was the word he used, in the Trump administration, are coming after my SNAP EBT benefits, and they're coming after my SSI, and that's the only thing I have to live on, and they're coming after my Medicare, and it was either Medicare or Medicaid, I forget which, and they are doing all this stuff, and I can't believe that I voted for you, and I can't believe you're doing this to me. Why are you doing this to me? And I prayed for you. So first of all, like Ralphie says, I'm going to send you some oh no's and anyways. Secondly, hold on a second. Let me find where I'm at here. Crystal Mason, by the way, was her last name. Okay. So secondly, my last point here, okay, is if you voted for Trump and you're upset because Trump is now picking on you, go fuck yourself. Flat out. Go fuck yourself. I have no sympathy for you whatsoever. People have lost their money because of Trump's Bitcoin bullshit, or spent $100, well it was $99, but $100 on those NFTs. That was fucking hilarious. Okay, or people who they didn't even have the gold sneakers, tennis shoes, whatever you want to call them. Okay, I'm used to calling them both. They didn't even have them in production. It was just like you buy it and you pay us some money and we're gonna produce them eventually, and never fucking did. Okay. For the people who lost money in the Trump University, for the people who lost money in Trump casinos, how the fuck can you lose a casino? Money in a casino. Okay. You walk into the casino, you hand them all your money, and you leave. That's what a casino is. Casinos make money hand over fist. I'm wondering if that money wasn't somehow funneled somewhere else. Because then he can declare bankruptcy and, oh my God, I went bankrupt. Okay. But again, all this bullshit, all this support for Trump, whatever, you've known for a long time. Now, there are some people, I have to be fair, who are too fucking dumb to know, but you've known. You've known for a long time that he's a racist asshole. You've known for a long time that he's a con man. You've known for a long time that he's a grifter. You don't care for 3 reasons. 1, you're in the cult. Anything Dear Leader says is okay. Anything anybody else says against Dear Leader is not okay. 2, even though you know deep down that you're in a cult, and you know deep down that he's fucking you over, you don't want to admit that. I'm sure Mark Twain wasn't the first person that said it, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, it is harder to convince a man that he has been fooled than to fool him. Okay? Because you don't want to admit that to yourself. You don't want to admit that, you made a mistake. Well, I'll even be charitable, okay? And I'll say, you fucked up, you made a mistake. Okay? I won't call you dumb. I won't belittle you in that respect. I'll say, you fucked up, you made a mistake. You don't want to admit that you made a mistake. You got to double down on it. Okay? And then the last point, like I said earlier in the show, the last point is your privilege. Okay? Hour and a half, that's pretty good. Your privilege. You don't want to lose that tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of privilege you have, because that's all you have. Because the difference between you and I'm on Social Security. Okay? I'm retired. The difference between you and I is only I'm a trans woman. And obviously there are other trans women out there, but for most of the Trump supporters, okay, I'm a trans woman, you're not. Cishet male or cishet female, you're not. Okay? That's it. That's the difference. Okay? I think that as a human being, you should have the opportunity to have food. You should have the opportunity to have housing. You should have the opportunity to have electricity and heat and nowadays the internet, because there's quite a few people who are not on the internet, and that's cool and that's fine and dandy, and it's all right that they're 75 years old. There's some 75-year-olds like my landlord who's on the internet, but the internet should be another free proffered government service. Okay. The Republicans complain constantly about, we got to pay all this money for the EBT, and we got to shell out money for Social Security, and we got to shell out money for Medicaid, and we got to shell out money for Medicare, okay? But what about for the military? Why are we shoveling all that money into the military? Including pork, okay, but one man's pork is another man's jobs project, but we're shoveling all this money in the military. It is not the biggest, okay, because the entire social safety net, so to speak, not just SSI, not just SS, not just EBT and whatever, okay, but all of that together is the largest portion of the budget. Don't get me wrong, okay, it should be. But there's no reason, when you want to talk about, cutting waste, why don't you cut waste in the military? Oh, we can't do that because we support the troops. No, you fucking don't. Because if you supported troops, you wouldn't vote Cadet Bone Spurs into office. You wouldn't vote a traitor into office. You wouldn't vote somebody who tried to overthrow the government into office. You wouldn't. And that's it. So, the show is over. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. See you later, Glasgow. I just saw that. Because I was ranting. The wallet one was Amadou Diallo. Okay, thank you, Beast. And Fernando Castle. I knew I'd recognize his name when I saw it. Castillo, excuse me, not Castle, Castillo. But I want to thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. People kind of wove in and out, and that's cool. That's fine. Okay, sometimes I get a little rambly, as you can tell. But I do appreciate you showing up on a Wednesday night. It's a work night for a lot of people, or the next day's a work day, whatever. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you checking out the channel. You know, if you give a like and a comment and, you know, subscribe, whatever, you know, all that YouTube bullshit. Okay, I appreciate that as well. I'm not worried about the algorithm. I'm not worried about, you know, I'd have to get 1,000 subscribers, you know, to follow or whatever to get monetized. I don't give a shit about that. I do care about pushing back against injustice, and that's why I do the show. So, check out the pinned post. Where's my obs? My obs. Check out the pinned post after I do the show, and if you want to make a comment there as well, that also helps with the algorithm. If there's something you liked about the show, make a comment. If there's something you didn't like about the show, there's something you disagree with me on, as long as it's not racist bullshit, okay, or bigoted bullshit, feel free to make a comment in the comment section. If there's something that you want to see in the future, because I do shows on Wednesdays and Sundays, if there's something you want to see in the future, I am more than open to considering what somebody wants to put in. You know, if you want to see something about taxes, you want to see something about healthcare, you want to see something about whatever. I've covered, in the previous show, I covered everything. So, I want to thank you. I appreciate it. Remember, the Angry Wrench is nice, is kind. The Angry Wrench is not nice. Good night and good luck.